Finansosyalista, this is Giselle Pacpaco, and welcome to today's special report. Today's attention is on different company in the industry which has recently faced criticism for a number of ethical issues and challenges. These include charges of gift giving, bribery, insider trading, organizational corruption, compliance, and governance issues. We will also explain what these terms imply and why they matter. To delve deeper into these issues, let's go to our first reporter, Shad, who has been investigating the allegations of gift giving within the company. Over to you, Shad.
Valenzuela Interior Design Associates, one of the preeminent interior design service firms in the Philippines, was established by Jose Luis, also known as Tito in Philippines, in 1995. They have encountered and disclosed some of their suppliers' professional technique in order to gain favor with their clients. So professional that they have decided to open them to the public. Let's hear out how they have handled this.
Right after the employee informed Tito about the said supplier, Tito immediately confronted the employee and questioned him. The employee narrated that he refused to accept these gifts in the beginning, but suppliers were insistent and started leaving gifts at his house every time a project started. Because of this, the all reliable suppliers complained about the orders that used to be given to them were now given to suppliers giving gifts to the purchasing people. Upon learning this, Mr. Villanueva's awareness of gift giving became stricter as it had already been an ongoing practice in the industry.
Hello sir, hello po. Ako po yung dati yung supplier. Ano po itong nabalitaan ko na sa iba na kayo na-order ng supplies nyo? May problema po ba sa amin kaya kayo lumipat? Kailangan rin po ba na mabibigay kami ng regalo? Unfair naman nun sir. Sir, hello. Hello.
Although it didn't directly violate any provisions under RA 6713, also known as the Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards for Public Officials and Employees, and RA 3019, also known as the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act. Given that it was a private firm, there are still some provisions that can be used as a guide for ethical conduct, as it follows.
What is gift giving? Gift giving is an act that we perceive as a way of showing love, care, appreciation, and respect by presenting a gift from one individual to another. But when it comes to the corporate world, this wholesome act turns out to be an ethical issue.
Here are some key points as to why gift giving is an ethical issue in the corporate world. First, it introduces bias or biases. Next, it creates conflicts of interest. Next, it undermines workforce morale. Next, violates the company's ethical and legal standards. And lastly, it distorts the organization's culture. These key points may lead to an unfair competition environment.
Possible solutions and best practices to address these ethical concerns. The first and foremost solution is to construct clear policies. Organizations, both public and private, should develop clear policies and guidelines regarding gift giving that outline what is acceptable and what is not. Next is promoting transparency by requiring all employees of an organization to disclose any gifts they receive and their value. And lastly, it is to train and educate employees by providing training and education on ethical decision making and the implications of gift giving.
For the second reporter, we have Kyla, who has been investigating the allegations of bribery.
The Philippines has been rocked by one of the most significant political scandals in its history, widely known as the 𝐋𝐞𝐸 scandal.
Allegations of electoral fraud and bribery during the 2004 presidential election have surfaced, implicating then-President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo and an election official, Virgilio Garciliano. The scandal arose after leaked audio recordings of war-taped conversation between President Arroyo and Commissioner Garciliano revealed explicit instruction to manipulate election results in key regions, particularly in Mindanao.
Conversation between Gary and PGMA on 10/13/40 hours, June 04.
Hello guys, ma'am. Nag-usap kayo ni Adolos. Ma'am. Okay, mamamasyal muna daw ako sa Mindanao. Kaya nga kung ano man ang mga problema kasi tawagan lang ho ninyo. May problema sa South UP. Pero lokal. Kasi iba-iba raw pinag-claim yung Commonwealth doon. Sino ba atin doon? Ay, naku, ang importante na hindi madama yung sa taas. Hindi ho. Ako ang may hawak nun. Kasi ang issue doon, sabi ng corruption, dahil nila yung recount, pero sabi naman yung issue doon, dapat doon na lang sa munisipyo. Doon na lang ho. Okay na yun. Ako ang may hawak yun. So hindi na-access ko yun sa taas. Hindi ho. Sabi na lang, kung exclusive, baka susunod po, bumagapang na naman daw doon. Hindi ho. Nasa akin mo yan. Okay. Sige guys. Okay. Thank you. Sige po.
The Philippines has implemented Republic Act No. 7613, a code of conduct and ethical standard for public officials and employees to promote integrity and accountability in government. The code prohibits public officials and employees from engaging in activities that could conflict with their official duties or compromise their positions, including business transactions benefiting themselves or others. The Philippines has implemented the Code of Conduct and Ethical Standard for public officials and employees, a step toward transparency, accountability, and good governance.
Bribery is a form of corruption that undermines trust in its institution and distort fair competition. It involves offering, giving, receiving, or soliciting something of a value to influence an individual actions or decisions. In the Philippines, efforts to combat bribery are crucial for fostering transparency, integrity, and economic development. Bribery can take various forms such as money, gifts, favor, or other benefits. In public officials, it involves illicit payments or incentive in return for favorable treatment. Private sector, bribery may involve kickbacks or unfair competitive advantage. Bribery undermines fairness, equality, and meritocracy, stifles economic growth, and perpetuates inequalities.
The 𝐿 scandals in the Philippines significantly impacted democracy, reducing public trust in the electoral process, fostering perceptions of corruption, and underscoring the need for electoral reforms and stronger anti-corruption measures, and increased government transparency. The war-tape conversation revealed a lack of ethical conduct among high-ranking government officials who promised position and favors in exchange for election manipulation, highlighting the needs for transparency and accountability in officials. The 𝐿 scandal exposed ethical flaws in political politics, causing outrage and calls for reform. It underscored the need for ethical principles, democratic institutions, and integrity in public service.
The 𝐿 scandal necessitates a comprehensive strategy to restore trust in the electoral process, strengthen democratic institutions, and promote transparency and accountability in governance. Strengthen rule of law. The rule of law is crucial for preventing power abuses and accountability, requiring increased judicial independence, improved law enforcement, and penalties for electoral law violation. Transparency and accountability. Transparency and accountability in governance are vital for rebuilding public trust in political institutions. Government should prioritize disclosure campaign, financing, asset declaration, and access to information laws. Government can prevent electoral fraud, promote democratic accountability, and restore public trust in the political institution by implementing best practices in solution following scandals like the 𝐿 controversy.
For the third reporter, we have Sarah, who has been investigating the allegations of insider trading.
In today's top story, we revisit the 2004 conviction of Martha Stewart for insider trading related to her sale of shares in 𝐿𝐞𝐸 Systems. Stewart sold her shares after receiving non-public information about negative news regarding the company's key drug, avoiding significant financial losses.
Following an investigation, Stewart was found guilty of conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and making false statements to federal investigators. This case underscores the importance of regulations like Securities Regulation Code (CSR) Republic Act No. 8799. The CSR mandates full disclosure of material information and penalize fraudulent practices, including insider trading. Section 27 specifically prohibits trading securities on non-public material information.
For our viewers, it is important to understand the definition of insider trading. It happens when a person buys or sells stock in a public company using information that isn't available in general public. This kind of information is non-public material information because it could affect the company's stock price if it were known.
Key ethical issues and problems associated with insider trading include providing an unfair advantage to those with non-public material information, damaging the company's reputation and financial health, exploiting confidential information for personal gain, involving breaking of laws and disregard for regulations.
To address these issues, individuals and organizations should be held accountable for unethical behavior through reinforcements. Robust oversight and monitoring systems should be implemented to detect and prevent unethical practices. Additionally, clear policies against insider trading and conflicts of interest should be established and reinforced.
For the fourth reporter, we have Janica, who has been investigating the allegations of organizational corruption.
At its height, Enron was praised as a pioneer in the energy industry. But executives were secretly involved in widespread accounting fraud to conceal losses and inflate profits. They established specially designed companies and employ complex accounting techniques to conceal large losses from Enron's financial statements.
As it is right now, I think everybody's a little in shock.
People don't know if they get their paychecks on Friday.
Authorities and investors were misled about the company's actual financial condition by this fraud. After the controversy broke late in 2001, Enron's stock price fell drastically and the firm filed for bankruptcy in December 2001, becoming the largest bankruptcy in U.S. history at the time.
I have a wife and 2 kids, and that's always a concern. You know, what we're gonna do.
Billionaires were lost by investors, workers lost their pensions and jobs, and the financial market's reputation was seriously damaged. Relevant laws violated in the Enron scandal include securities fraud, wire fraud, and conspiracy. The Sarbanes-Oxley Act, passed in 2002, was a direct response to this scandal, aimed at improving corporate governance and accountability. This law introduced stricter regulation on financial practices and reporting, and imposed harsher penalties for fraudulent activities. In order to fully understand the urgency of this controversy, we must talk about the idea of organizational corruption. The term organizational corruption describes dishonest or fraudulent behavior by individuals in positions of authority, usually including the manipulation of financial data for private or business purposes or bribes.
executives at Enron fabricated earning reports to give a false good impression of the company's financial situation, misleading stakeholders and protecting the stock price of the business.
A lot of unethical behavior by executives damaged the company's reputation and credibility, leading to the Enron issue. Executives took use of their positions to further their own interests by manipulating financial records, pressuring staff members to commit crimes, and silencing critics. In order to get profitable contracts and partnerships, they also engaged in bribery and inappropriate payments, damaging the company's brand and losing shareholder trust. Illegal acts and fund theft, which increased executives at the expense of shareholders and investors, were more features that define Enron's business environment. Enron's reputation was further weakened by improper influence, as executives tried to sway government authorities and regulatory bodies in order to achieve their personal goals.
So, what could have prevented this massive fraud? Here are a few possible solutions. First is strong ethical leadership. Leader must practice ethical behavior and set an example for the organization. Next is solid compliance programs. Comprehensive compliance processes must be implemented to detect and prevent corruption. Next is disclosure protections. Establishing mechanisms for employees to report unethical behavior without fear of retaliation. Next is ethical training and awareness. Regular training programs to educate employees about the importance of ethics and the consequences of corruption. And lastly, cultural change. Cultural change is important to encourage ethical behavior and integrity.
For the fifth reporter, we have Javier, who has been investigating the allegations of compliance.
Good evening. Tonight we delve into one of the most notorious corporate scandals in recent history, the Volkswagen emissions scandal of 2015. This incident shook the automotive industry and serves as a stark reminder of the importance of compliance and ethical practices.
This case underscores the importance of regulation, improve operational efficiency because by providing clear guidelines and standards, which streamline processes and reduce ambiguity in decision making. This clarify helps organization avoid costly errors and redundancies, enabling them to operate more smoothly and effectively. Moreover, compliance with this regulation fosters a culture of continuous improvement, ensuring that operations remain up to date and aligned with best practices.
For our viewers, it's important to understand the definition of compliance is crucial because it ensures that individuals and organizations operate within legal and ethical boundaries, thereby avoiding penalties and fostering trust. Compliance also promotes accountability and transparency, which are essential for maintaining a positive reputation and sustainable and transparency. Adherence to established rules and standards safeguards both the entity and the broader community by upholding safety, fairness, and integrity.
Conflict of interest arises when an individual personal interest potentially interfere with their professional duties, leading to biased decision. Whistleblower protection ensure that employees who report unethical or illegal activities within their organization are safeguarded against retaliation. Data privacy and security involve measures to protect personal and sensitive information from unauthorized access, ensuring confidentiality and integrity. Transparency and accountability in our organization mean openly sharing information and being answerable for action, fostering trust and credibility. Fair treatment and non-discrimination guarantee that all individuals are treated equally and justly regardless of their background or characteristic, promoting an inclusive and respectful environment.
Address this issue is to assess your needs and resources, conduct a true evaluation of your organization, steering quick opportunities and threats, ensuring a clear understanding what is required and available to achieve your goals. Establish a strong foundation by implementing your rules, policies, procedure, and training programs that align with your core values and legal requirements. Build a culture of integrity from the top down by having leadership demonstrate ethical behavior and commitment to these values, setting a positive example to all employees.
So, for the last reporter, we have Renz, who has been investigating the allegations of the governance issues.
The WorldCom company, known as one of the largest long-distance telecommunication companies in the United States, was found guilty of engaging in fraudulent accounting practices after the board of directors and auditors failed to provide the adequate oversight of the financial position, causing the company to go bankrupt.
It was found that the executives inflated their profits to hide the losses of the company from the investors. To hide its falling profitability, WorldCom inflated its net income and cash flow by recording expenses as investments, reporting a profit of $1.4 billion instead of a net loss in the first quarter of 2002.
Because of this, WorldCom faced a lot of cases and punishment, which led to the creation of Sarbanes-Oxley Act in July 2002 to strengthen disclosure requirements and the penalties for fraudulent accounting practices to protect the investors.
It also failed other relevant laws and regulations to follow, like the Cadbury Report and the Principle of Good Governance. Cadbury Report sets out recommendations on the arrangement of the company boards and accounting systems to lessen corporate governance risks and failures. It became the standard by which boards improve their transparency and accountability. The next one is the Principle of Good Governance, in which the company applies the core principle of good corporate governance: fairness, accountability, responsibility, disclosure, and transparency.
WorldCom failed to follow these principles as they committed to fraudulent accounting practices and failed to provide an adequate oversight to the financial statement of the company. It shows a lack of transparency, accountability, disclosure, and good governance. The WorldCom scandal is an example of governance issues, having problems with managing, directing, and regulating the system of an organization or institution. We can see that they fail to become transparent to their stakeholders about their financial losses, as they committed to fraudulent accounting practices and failed to provide an adequate oversight to their financial statement.
And although he expressed his discomfort and displeasure at the actions being undertaken at WorldCom, he recognizes that as a corporate officer, those facts do not relieve him of his own responsibility in this matter. He has never tried to shirk that responsibility, and he has been forthright with the company's internal auditors as well as the government's investigators.
The ethical issues and problems we may identify with this scenario are conflicts of interest, oversight issues, accountability issues, lack of transparency, and ethics violations.
The possible solution and best practices to prevent governance issues are enough transparency and accountability, create strong policies and regulation that govern the conduct of individuals within an organization, to have ethical leadership, improve the compliance and oversight, involve the stakeholders in decision-making, and provide capacity building and education for employees about governance principles and practices for efficient, compliance, and ethical conduct.
Hi mga ka-FM! Did you know that various ethical theories help us resolve ethical issues in business? Let's explore some trivia about these ethical theories and how they apply to business ethical issues. So, deontology in business involves adhering to ethical codes and regulations, prioritizing integrity and fairness. Companies may follow anti-corruption policies, even if it means missing out on lucrative opportunities. So, the Enron and WorldCom scandals highlighted the importance of ethical principles, as their fraudulent activities that is violated ethical duties and regulation. So lastly, we have the egoistic approach that is introduced by Henry Sidgwick in his book, The Method of Ethics, in the year 1874. So it advocates for action that promote one's own self-interest. So for example, compliance can align with an egoistic approach because by following rules and regulation, individuals or organizations protect and promote their own self-interest. Ensuring compliance can prevent costly fines, legal issues, and damage to reputation, ultimately benefiting the entity's long-term goals. So it enhances trust and credibility with stakeholders, leading to better business opportunities and relationships, and foster a stable environment for effective and efficient operation. There you have it mga ka-FM. So do not forget that various ethical theories guide businesses in making the right decisions and resolving ethical issues. Understanding and adhering to this principle not only benefits the company, but also the community and society. Hanggang sa muli! Bye!